as our first news topic of the day is like the most no duh, but it's still news nonetheless, and that is that James Gunn, the head of DC, the writer of the upcoming Superman Legacy, is directing Superman Legacy, and all of us are just going, yes. Yes, we kind of expected that. The guy that's founding this new DC universe is probably going to want this DC universe to get off on the right foot, and he'll be the first penguin in the water, so to speak. This just makes all the sense in the world to me. You get some like angry comic book fans out there that are just going, oh, it should have been this guy or this guy. I think they would have been mad at whoever it was if their name was not Zack Snyder. Just like how they seem to think anything not involving that person or someone that has personally gotten their own blessing from Snyder himself, which, you know, James Gunn actually has. Snyder has vouched for James Gunn before.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't fit their narrative. They're going to be not happy either way. But on the other side, I'm seeing plenty of people, and I, to a certain extent, somewhat understand, that are just like, well, James Gunn's the funny guy. He's just going to do jokes the whole time. He's not going to take Superman seriously. Look what he did with Suicide Squad. The Guardians of the Galaxy is a goofball movie. I maintain that the Suicide Squad and the Guardians of the Galaxy are goofier movies because they're goofier characters. The entire premise of the Suicide Squad is kind of a goofy premise of we've got a bomb on our head and we've got to do dumb missions for the government. Guardians of the Galaxy are literally the losers of the universe that have to save everything. Superman, by the way he talks in literally every single interview, and the beautiful post that he put when he announced that he was the one directing this, talking about the connection he has to the character via his father. He understands the levity that this movie brings of, like, this is the granddaddy of them all when it comes to characters. But also, yes, he does funny, but you can't look me in the eye with a straight face and tell me he doesn't get emotion right. Like, we talk about the Suicide Squad all the time with Ratcatcher, but also, be a man and admit you all teared up in that first Guardians of the Galaxy. We are Groot. Like, you made a tree man make us cry. And also, he may have been your father, but he ain't your daddy, boy. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Like, you made us care about Yondu. The Christmas special is fantastic. James Gunn is just a good storyteller. Just happens to have humor. I think this movie will have a lot less humor. To me, I'm not surprised by this. It just makes the most sense. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree, because I think even when we it was announced and you know, he was like, yeah, I'm writing the script, blah blah blah. Both you and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're gonna direct the movie then? Like, it wasn't even a thought in our heads that somebody else would do it. It was just like, oh yeah, okay, so you're writing it, and this is the, you know, quintessential start of the new universe. And you're the head of it, so it just makes sense for you to do it. For James Gunn to set the tone. And set the kind of work ethic going forward. I'm not surprised by it at all. It's a lot of the Discord. I've stopped kind of going to James Gunn's Twitter, not because
that man just needs to stay off Twitter.
Well, it's not even his fault, though, because he's constantly getting called out by stupid people who are just trying to get a rise out of him. And so, like, I feel for him, and I just get tired of people throwing completely unfounded, completely like nonsensical claims at him, and it's just stupid. And but people also, who just don't understand how the movie industry works. So I feel for the guy.
James Gunn has had, I feel bad for him as well. He's got a string of like things that are blamed on him or pinned on him that was all stuff from the previous regime. Like,
yes.
Mild spoiler alert for Shazam Fury of the Gods. One of the post-credit scenes has characters from Peacemaker, to which people are already getting in James Gunn's mentions going, why do you keep casting your wife and stuff? She was cast for this post-credit scene before he took over. Like, there's so many things that are just like ripple effects from the previous regime that people seem to think is all James Gunn's fault. I'm just like, stop it. Or like, but also James Gunn doesn't help himself sometimes. He's just like, oh yeah, I would love to work with Margot Robbie again as Harley Quinn, and I think we absolutely will be. And I'm going, so you're gonna keep You're gonna keep
Yeah.
Harley, but not other things. My here's my thought of what everything's gonna go down as. I don't know if I've said this before, but I think the Flash is the official end of this DC universe, like as we know it. But
Hmm.
then we've got other stuff like Peacemaker season 2 or Waller or Aquaman. That will be set before the Flash, and I think
Hmm.
the first start of everything will be Superman Legacy, which is exactly what they've said. But we're gonna get
Hmm.
some stuff either Elseworlds or canonically before Superman. So like, I could see Peacemaker and all the events of that being set before the Flash. That way they can reboot everything clean. Because you gotta just go all in with this reboot. You can't just pick and choose, because then you're gonna get whiny man babies that are going, well, you got rid of Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Ben Affleck's Batman, but you're keeping Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and you might be keeping Shazam. They're not keeping Shazam.
They're not. There's no.
There's absolutely no way they're keeping Zachary
Which is,
Levi Shazam.
dude, it is so funny to me to see all of the people now being like, "Oh, you're getting rid of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Where were you like during the first movie? Like when that came out and it was good, and people were still like, yeah, it was good, but she's not my Wonder Woman. Now all of a sudden she's your Wonder Woman. Get out of here, dude.
Nope.
Like,
I'm still gonna be that guy. I'm still gonna be that guy of like, I love the first Wonder Woman movie. In spite of Gal Gadot, I don't. She's not.
yeah,
She's a lovely person in interviews and whatnot. I just don't think when Wonder Woman came out, she was the best actress, and I still maintain she was not the best acting pick. She's a great representation for the character. She's
Yeah,
a wonderful
absolutely.
ambassador for the character of Wonder Woman. She's great with people. I just don't think acting wise, she was always up to snuff. So I'm not too heartbroken about her potentially not coming back. Although I
No,
did
I was.
see somebody go, if we're keeping some actors around but giving them new roles, what about the girl that plays Mary Marvel as the new Wonder Woman? I'm going,
Okay, you might be on. Yeah, and see, that's what I think is super fun about this is I don't think people are necessarily they're just like, "Oh, man, you broke my toy. Oh, yes, you're giving me new toys, but like I don't care." I think it's going to be fun to see some of these actors that we have loved seeing, and seeing them potentially come back to the DC, not just Jason, but seeing some other ones come back to DC in a different light, and seeing them come back in different roles. That can be really fun because I do like Gal on screen. I think she does the job that she needs to do. It's fantastic. But and I wouldn't necessarily make it her fault for Wonder Woman 1984. I
no,
think
acting wise, it's her
I
best performance, I think.
yeah, absolutely. And to her credit, she has done nothing but improve in that kind of
I would
aspect.
absolutely agree. She has only gotten better.
So I think at the end of the day, like I guess to circle it back, it makes sense that this is James. We're not surprised. I think this is going to be an exciting start for a new pathway. And if recent news from the Marvel camp is any indication, they're not the only ones starting to restart in some capacity.
Yeah. So what I like about James Gunn doing Superman is I feel like this is going to be the most traditional take we've gotten since Superman Returns, except this time we're actually going to put action scenes in it this time, as opposed to Brandon Routh picks up a big old island and Kevin Spacey is in it just being a creep. I feel like this has the potential to be one of the best Superman movies of all time. I like his early premise that James Gunn has given us of like Clark is trying to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human heritage and meeting somewhere in the middle, embracing both worlds. I'm going, I also have seen all 10 seasons of Smallville, in which case you can watch our retrospective of Smallville on the Uncharted Media channel. But I feel like we're gonna get the classic elements. I feel like we're gonna get Jimmy Olsen back, alive this time. We'll get Perry White with the old classic Great Caesar's Ghost. I feel like this is going to be an old school Superman movie, which is allowed to exist now. We are actually allowed to have a hopeful and optimistic Superman, heaven forbid. I trust James' writing. I think this has the potential to be excellent. It's one of my most anticipated movies of all time, to the point of, at the time of recording, we're only 842 days away from this movie, and it's not coming out soon enough.